Hey folks, Damien with Southpaw Designs, and today I'm going to show you how I would design and use a CNC to create and cut this catch-all tray. Okay, it's a fairly simple design. So the first part of this project, in fact, this particular video is going to show you how I would use the VCarve tools to actually create this from start to finish. This is great if you're getting started with VCarve or really even a program such as Illustrator or anything else, and you need to know how to create some complex shapes. We're going to learn how to use the tools to create something like this and make sure that it's accurate. Okay, so that's going to be part one. And I'm going to walk you through this, and then at the end of it, once it's ready, there's going to be a link to a second video where I go down into my shop and I actually create this using my Onefinity CNC. So this is a two-part series. So you'll want to stick around to the end, click on that link, and then you can see the second part as well. If you're not interested in the VCarve stuff and you just want to see the CNC and the actual fabrication of it, then you can go ahead and jump to the end once the video is ready and you can watch that one. So let's go ahead and dive right in right here.
Okay, so we actually see this finished catch-all tray. Now, how would I create this from scratch? So I'm going to go in, I'm going to create a brand new project. I'm going to set it to 12 inches by 12 inches by a thickness of 1 inch, and then click OK. Okay, that gives us our material right here. And I like to use these guides. If you have your rulers turned on, which I believe they're turned on by default, I'm going to pull guides down to 6 inches and 6 inches. Since I'm creating something that is symmetrical, I can do that, or I really want to do that. And I'm going to try something here. I'm going to zoom in. Oh yeah, there we go. Never mind. I don't need that. Okay, so I've got my guides out here, and now I'm going to create a circle. Now, it's given me an X and Y of 6 inches. That's going to be the dead center of the circle, and it's given it a radius of 5.75. These numbers happen to already be in there because I just created this design, so those are still kind of in there. So I've already got it created, but I'm just going back and showing you how I went through that process. Now, I'm sure there are a variety of ways to do this next spot, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the way I would do it. I've been using Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, creating graphics for years, and I just kind of do things my own way. There may be a better way to do it. In fact, if you know of a better way to do it, please feel free to let me know in the comments. But I'm going to grab a line here, and I'm going to start this line at, notice it's going to be at 5.75 inches X. And I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag down, and I'm going to drag it to that point right there, and drag it out as well. All right, now this is still stuck, so I'm just going to hit escape on my keyboard. There we are. Okay, so what I've got is I now have what is going to be one part of the tray. What I need to do now is I'm going to take this circle, and I'm going to create an offset. Now, in an earlier video I showed you how I would copy and paste it, make it a little bit smaller, but then a viewer put in the comments, hey, there's an easier way to do that, moron. He didn't say moron, but I read the subtext, and it turns out there is. It's using this offset tool right here. So I'm going to click on offset, and I want to make sure it's an inwards offset, and it's going to be 1/2 of an inch. So select offset 1/2 of an inch, and there we go. So I've got a 1/2 inch offset right there. So it just makes another circle inside of it. I'm going to close it now, and I've got it. All right. So what I'd like to do now is I want to create this as one of my pockets. Now again, there are probably multiple ways to do it. This is how I would go about doing it. I'm going to select this handy dandy interactive trim tool, and I'm going to select, and I'm going to get rid of those parts that I want to get rid of. All right, now if I zoom in real tight, yeah, I've got a little bit of an overhang right there that I want to get rid of. Just when I was drawing it, I put that in there. Zoom back out, go over, see if I did the same thing at the top, which I probably did. Yep, there you go. In fact, there it is right there. I want to get rid of that. I don't want any extra stray lines if I can help it, and I can help it. All right, so we've got it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of the rest of that circle. Okay, now I need to do this 4 times. Why get rid of the rest of the circle, you might say? Well, let me show you why. Because this is the size that I want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this and reverse it. The first thing that I'd like to do, I like to go ahead and get one ready. So I've got this one pocket already done, but I want to apply a fillet to it. Okay. Now, every time I've watched a video, it's always pronounced fillet, but when I look at that word, I think fillet. So get into an argument down in the comments about which one's correct. But I'm going to select the fillet tool. I'm getting normal, and I've got it set to 0.375 inches, 3/8 of an inch, because I'm going to actually be using a 3/4 inch bowl bit, and I think that will be a pretty good. That'll be a pretty good one right there. So I'm going to use this fillet tool and use all 3 corners. So now I have those rounded edges. All right. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to make a copy. Now, if anybody knows a better way to do this part, let me know. And next, I'm going to flip it over using that mirror tool, which if you did not see that, the mirror tool is right, where is it? Right there. It's under transform objects. Okay, so now I'm going to scooch it over a little bit, and I really want it to be right on top of that other set of lines. And here's a little hint about most design software. Now there's probably a place where I can go in there and manually type it in exactly where I want it to go. In fact, if you know exactly where that is, let me know. But I want it to be right on these dots right here, but it's not. So I can actually just zoom in real tight and place it on there. Just use my arrow tool to scooch it over. I'm still learning this software as well. All right, there we go. So now I have it. So it's exactly where I want it to be. But like I said, if you know a better way to do it, where that tool is, please let me know. Okay, so I've got 2 of them done. Now I want to do the other 2. So I'm just going to select both of these, copy and paste again, use Control C, Control V, and you might not be able to see them, but they are there. They're just on top of the originals. Now I'm going to use that mirror tool again, and this time I'm going to flip vertical and scooch them down. Oops, select close, then scooch them down. And in order to make sure I get them exactly where I want, it looks pretty good, but I am going to zoom in really, really tight. Now try to make sure they're both selected at the same time. It just makes it easier and more precise. And so they are, and I'm going to manually shift them up. Again, if you zoom in real tight and then use that arrow key, then it increments at very precise, I don't know exactly what the measurement was, but it increments at very precise increments. So now I've got this done, and next I'm going to jump into the toolpath commands. All right, so I only need 2 toolpaths for this. I think in the original one I had a chamfer, but I don't think I'm going to do that. The first one I'm going to set up is going to be for my pockets. So I'm going to select all 4 of my pockets at once. Hold your shift key in case you didn't realize that. Hold your shift key and you can select multiple items. Then I'm going to select the pocket toolpath right here. It's already got a 3/4 inch ball nose, which is what I'm actually going to be using. It's set to 1 pass. I'll give it a shot with that. I've just gotten this ball nose in, or I'm sorry, yeah, it's a bowl bit. I've just gotten that in, and I'm not going to really adjust anything. I'm just going to leave it the way that it is, and I'm going to go ahead and calculate that. And watching my old videos, I've started to realize the number of times that I say go ahead. So you can turn that into a little drinking game if you want to. I'd be very careful with it because you'll probably go ahead and be really drunk in a very short period of time. So let's select this preview selected toolpath, and it shall create it for us. It's kind of neat to watch it. I'm not trying to waste your time. And we're done. Okay. Now, my recommendation is that when you actually take this to your CNC, that you actually do the pocket first. Because if you use the old CA glue and tape method, which is the typical one that I use, you're not gonna want to cut it out first, because that lessens the amount of tape that's actually holding that piece down, and it's more likely to shift around on you. Now, this is a big enough piece that that probably won't happen, but just to be on the safe side. Okay. So I've got that one done. Now I'm going to create a profile toolpath, and let's see, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch, and I usually don't like to go more than one pass. I'm going to go all the way through, cut depth 1 inch. I usually don't like to go more than a half of the diameter of the bit in any one pass. So it is it's a 1/4 inch bit. So I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch at a time. So it is going to make 8 passes. And it's going to go all the way through right there. I want it to be on the outside. Then I'm going to calculate that. Oops, let me undo that. Profile. I need to edit that, because what that's doing is that's cutting these out. That's my fault. So I'm actually just going to delete that and recreate it. Delete this. Okay, so I'm going to go back into 2D, select the outside. One of you guys should have said something. You could have caused me a big mistake there. So now I'm going to select the profile bit. 1 inch, that makes more sense. It's a 1/4 inch bit. Scroll down, I'm going to accept everything there. It is still on the outside. Let's see, we have a 1/4 inch bit, 8 passes, so it's going to take 1/8 of an inch each time. Calculate that. There we go, that's what I want to see. So now I'm going to preview selected toolpath, and there we go. All right, so that one's done. And what I can do now is I can create this job sheet. And that job sheet right there is actually going to show me all of the bits and times and everything that I need. I actually already have that done right there, so I'm going to cancel that. And then I'm going to save these. Now I'm going to save them separately, because I am going to have to do a tool change. And so I'm just going to save them as 2 different G codes. So my profile, I'm going to save that toolpath, and actually I already have these saved, so I'll show you. No, I'm sorry, I already took my jump drive out. So I'm going to save this one as catch-all profile. And what I generally do is I'll put the bit at the end of it, 1/4. And if it's a profile, I know what that is. And so now I'm going to save the other one. Save that toolpath. It says pocket, so catch all. And that is a 3/4 inch bowl. So it's a 3/4 inch bowl bit, and now I'm ready. So once that's finished, the next step would be taking it to the CNC and actually doing the cutout. And as I said before, that is going to be in a separate video, which once it's ready should be in the next day or two. So depending on when you actually see this, it may already be linked down in the description and also at the end of this video. Now, before we leave, I do want to take a quick second, and if you think that I've earned it, I would appreciate that subscription. Subscriptions are the lifeblood of any YouTube channel, and it would mean the world to me. So please leave a comment, subscribe, share, all that stuff.